With Bitcoin once again getting rejected like a Bitcoiner trying to find a girlfriend, is the Fed actually making analysts quietly bullish on Bitcoin again? As the entire market has been dictated by monetary policy and the macroeconomic landscape, is there a chance that the baby bulls can rise up and put the goo back in Magoo? I'm your host, Justin Juice, and we have a very, very big update on Bitcoin's recent rejection and what it means now. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn these absolutely time-sensitive alerts as well. If you guys are interested in any bonuses, securing your crypto, trading altcoins, make sure to check out the links below. I have one Twitter and one Instagram. They're both below, and every other social media of me is fake. I have this YouTube, one Instagram, and one Twitter, and they're both below. Without any further ado, it's Magoo. So as we talked about in yesterday's video, every single time that Bitcoin has come up to this trend line, which is very confluent with the 21 DMA, 21 daily moving average, Bitcoin has gotten absolutely dunked on. And I mean, no surprise here. Looks as though we've gotten a little bit of dunkage. However, one thing actually I want to take a look at real quick is that I wonder if there's like an average of how much we go down after each time we get rejected. At least 10% it looks like. So I mean, if we got rejected 10%, that means we go back to like 33, 34K. Could be lower, could even not happen at all. But every time we've gotten rejected off this, it looks as though we've hit at least a 10% retracement. Actually substantially more, some of these. This is like 20%. This one was like 18%. Okay, so maybe even closer to like 17, 18% per. 17 or 18 would put us, again, around 32-ish. So not quite breaking this macro structure, but not good. Not good at all. But if we want to take a look here, so the Federal Reserve is making some analysts bullish actually on Bitcoin again as a steady Bitcoin price recovery emerged earlier this week as investors shifted away from the US dollar on weaker than expected economic data. Lynn Alden, the founder of Lynn Alden Investment Strategy, tweeted that the Fed reached a fever height last week in terms of making more and more aggressive tightening scenarios, noting the central bank may turn dovish instead of hawkish, with economic deceleration and weak PMI data taking center stage. And additionally, the ADP Research Institute data released Wednesday showed cracks in the ongoing U.S. economic recovery, revealing that employment across regional companies fell by 300,000 in December of 2021, so last month, the highest since the early days of the pandemic there. And it also is worth noting that the Fed officials have noted the central bank might not go ahead with rate hikes as aggressively as anticipated, right? Those rate hikes are those things that people are kind of fearful of why this market, and especially something like the SPX, could continue downward, because we've had massive inflation over the past 2 years, and that has basically caused this to happen. Yeah, the SPX going from about 3,700 all the way up to about 4,800, over 1,000 points. That's a lot. You know, if we start tackling inflation, whatever that means, good luck with that. Then, you know, that would obviously send things like this, and specifically what we care about, Bitcoin, down, because Bitcoin has obviously benefited from this. It is weird because Bitcoin has benefited from the current global landscape and the massive inflation, but it also was timed perfectly with these Bitcoin cycles, which you have to think that can't be on purpose, just because the timing is kind of weird with that. If you would think that would be on purpose, you would have to basically believe that the virus was unleashed purposely, specifically to, you know, affect the economy, and specifically maybe Bitcoin. Again, there's way too many things, I think, for that to be a super plausible, but I mean, I guess anything is possible. But the point is that Bitcoin it was ready to blast before we had the crash back in March of 2020. And then we had the crash, and then we saw massive inflation and money printing, and we saw the stock market and Bitcoin both benefit from that. But even still, with that, Bitcoin underperformed, I would think, right? Because with everything going on and all of the massive inflation, all of the amazing adoption and news for Bitcoin, because even today, I mean, if you look on dozens of companies basically every day coming out about, I mean, I think I just saw something about Nintendo. Nintendo wants to implement NFTs and something like that. Like, NFTs are pretty big right now, obviously. They're hitting an audience that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as just a currency just have never really touched, right? So whether or not you like NFTs, it is spreading adoption. I watched some Twitch streamers who hate crypto, yet every single day they're talking about NFTs because people in their chats are just pulling up, you know, everyone's talking about NFTs, whether you like them or not. And it is spreading adoption, again, whether you like it or not. But even with all of that, the perfect scenario, Bitcoin, you know, back here in early 2021, I would have thought, and I think a lot of people did, and I think a lot of people are still kind of just a little surprised or confused about this, that could have sent Bitcoin to higher valuations, but instead we're literally where we were last year at this time. We've been trading sideways basically for an entire year. And again, that could also possibly be due to the fact that other things are getting more popular, like I just said, NFTs, which if NFTs really pop off, how much would Bitcoin benefit from that, right? Would it be things like Ethereum and other coins that actually are related to NFTs and smart contract technology over something like Bitcoin? But anyway, the point is, after a year basically of ranging sideways here, the only thing really dictating Bitcoin's price is still kind of the global situation. And that's why we talked about this. This year is going to be big, because if the rate hikes are not as aggressive, or if they are, that will hugely affect most people's investments. Even if you're not in cryptocurrency, it should affect a lot of different investments, and a lot of people are going to be paying attention to that. But yeah, as the bulls failed to regain and break through this trend line, there is some big levels of resistance, with 35.5 being a key level of short-term support they're eyeing up there. We're only at this very second, we're kind of right around there. But yeah, I mean, looking at this chart, it's very important. If we actually would break this low, there's not a lot of wiggle room to prevent either what could end up being very good, a double bottom, where, you know, say we get rejected here and we come down and retest these lows, and then over the next couple of weeks to months can actually start reversing. That would be a best case scenario. But then worst case scenario is come down here, set a lower low, and really just set the mood for something worse, maybe a mid $20,000 range Bitcoin, right? Nothing is off the table. At this point, I think it would be silly for me to just say, like, we're going to meet by next week and there's no chance. It's absolutely possible that, and again, I've said this from the beginning too, depending on what happens with the economy, it just so happens that what has been happening in the global, macro landscape has not really been good, particularly just over the last couple of weeks. Before that, it was really good for the past 2 years, but over the past couple of weeks, it has taken a little bit of a turn. And I think we really started to get hints of that back in, I want to say, July, August, September. I think Evergrande was something I was talking about, is a very nice signal that I think a lot of people should have been watching, because it's a more long-term, not very positive, optimistic thing about these markets. But yeah, the key here is Bitcoin is in the middle of rejection again. I mean, let's be real about that. It is in the middle of rejection again. It started yesterday after you can see this candle got rejected here. And now the real battle, in my opinion, is kind of just seeing if we can hold these up and create some sort of double bottom long term. Or if that fails, things get very, very interesting. To get a new channel, make sure to like, absolute time-sensitive alerts as well. If you guys are trying bonuses, make sure to check out everything below. Make sure to secure your crypto. Although it is rather safe to keep your crypto on some exchanges. I would never recommend that, but it's more safe than it was 5 years ago, I believe. But yeah, never respond to any scammers. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, I only have one of each. My only YouTube is this one. And then I have one Twitter and one Instagram, also right below. Without any further ado, that's it for me. Beep, beep.